So over the last, I want to say 10 years, I've worked with about, crazy enough, 120 cities. And one of the things that we really notice is making technology is really a process where people need to come together. And so I want to share our approach of how we co-develop technology and how we make accessible and democratized technology that's relevant for all citizens, so every one of us. Who feels like this is the image of the smart city? Whenever I Googled smart city over the years, something like that would appear. And the thing that I have to say about that, it really is a top-down view. And so the smart city really is already here. So if you walk around in Sacramento downtown, which we're all going to do this afternoon, look around you. And things you're going to notice is the streetlights are already connected. They're saving energy. They're looking at if there's actually pedestrians there to light up the street. The parking lot is connected via app. So if we're in meetings today now, we can actually go and extend our parking meter. The BRT already listens to a Google algorithm of which route to take. We heard from Tiffany today about how we can optimize around that. So the smart city really is here already. And I love the idea of the smart city. It's been my favorite topic for over a decade. But what scares me is this focus on automobiles and a real problem of a digital divide in our cities. And even more so, the loss of community. If we look at this as our smart city, this is not a place I want to live in. So at SUFA, we take a step back. We try to immerse ourselves into the communities we work with. We travel to our communities, we stay in Airbnbs, we eat local, we meet with local people, and really ask ourselves, what does this community need? It's a very citizen-centric point of view, and I don't think there's a single person in this room who would say, oh, we don't want to develop citizen-centric, or is there? I hope not. But so this philosophy is something we all love and we strive for, but there really is a vision execution gap in my mind, because there's a lot of reports we make of how we want to be citizen-centric, but then at the end of the day, we come back to picture number one. What I've found is our biggest allies are actually real estate developers, forward-thinking real estate developers who understand the return on investment of people-centric developments, of building plazas, of really thinking through how does this programming and space activation help me to build a better neighborhood. So this is SUFA's view of a smart city. So I hope that when you now Google smart city, more often than not, a picture like this will appear. Our talented graphic designer, Nicole, put this together after we talked. So there's a couple of things about this. One is the view suddenly changes. It's more, we're looking into the city, into the plaza. People are at the center. It's about social connection, about really bringing people together, about walking your dog, being on a bicycle, having local markets, so shop local. And this is really something that we've been, promoting. And so I'm European. I lived in Berlin, Barcelona, Paris. Who doesn't love those cities? I mean, they're amazing. We really have all of this happening already. And so I want to make sure that we do this as well, and that people walk around and are not necessarily on their phone. And so when we walk around, we want to know what's going on around us. And so I want to have you guys meet the SUFA sign. So this is our latest invention. And it addresses this need of knowing what is going on around you now. And it's not just, I have to go and find it on my phone. So it is really a bulletin board of the 21st century. And the unique thing is that everybody can post to it via the web. So you go on an app, you can post that an event is happening, and it will show on the SUFA sign. So we really want to meet people where they're at and have a dialogue. Our sign has gotten a lot of recognition. We were at CES, we just won, shout out to Ed for my team who presented in Miami. We just won the Ford Smart City Challenge. So we're going to be rolling out in Miami next, which I'm very excited about. And all that recognition is amazing. But I can tell you there's nothing better for me, when I wake up in the morning and I see text messages from citizens telling me how they went to this event because I heard about it through the SUFA sign, or they're posting something and I get to see their content. And it's really this like very personal impact that gets me up in the morning. The SUFA sign is also solar powered, so it's really the first of its kind. So this is our R&D lab in the Boston Seaport, where you can see lots of people going around. It's not always, rainy, gray, snowy in Boston the way it is right now. But so you have lots of people going around trying to figure out what to do in the seaport. And we've really been loving that area because it's companies as big as Amazon, as well as containers in the She Village, where people, women actually started small businesses, and you go and shop local. So it's big companies, small companies. So mixed use for me really is not just residential and commercial. Mixed use is also big companies, small companies, and everyone together in the neighborhood. So the SUFA sign shows events, which was really important to me because it's a very different approach to our public messaging we already have. But we also feed in news. We were talking about resiliency this morning, so we're working with FEMA on having different alert messages being able to put on our board, as well as real-time transit information. These 3 words have stuck with me for a long, long time. And I was at the Media Lab, I was always saying, whatever we do, it needs to be smart, sustainable, and social. And so I'm really excited that all of those things come together in the SUFA sign. So it's smart because we leverage MIT technology, which is electronic paper, so that allows it to be solar powered, which makes it very sustainable. So it's 4 bolts in the ground, 10-minute install, you're done. It's also very social because everybody can use it, and it tells people what's going on in their neighborhood. So I founded SUFA 4 years ago, and really the mission was to have an impact, to change the narrative of the smart city, to make it about the social city. I raised $5 million in venture funding in our seed rounds, and I'm so proud that we have a great team that makes all of this really a reality for all of us, and that we can serve our communities. So how do we do all this? It takes courageous leaders. And I wanted to take today to highlight Kirk, who I met at Smart City Barcelona. Amazing guy. Who in the room knows Kirk? I'm just curious. Anybody? No? Yes, one. For all you others, you should meet Kirk. So he worked for the city of Atlanta and is now heading up MARTA, so their public transportation system. And he's just so creative, and it's hard sometimes in the walls of City Hall to find someone you can really spitball and brainstorm. He came in, he had his Apple Watch, and he was like, oh yeah, I can see, we can put Twitter on the sign, we can do this, we can put alerts on there. And so his gears were really turning, and I was like, yes, you're my guy. And so he helped us really navigate a lot of the red tape, and it's always good to have someone inside who helps navigate the red tape. But even more helpful is if you have citizen demand. And so our strategy was, okay, Atlanta 311 loves it, mayor's office loves it, but will the citizens? And so we said, let's start with one neighborhood. So here's what happened. So we installed SUFA signs in East Atlanta, and we started getting all these pictures of people posing in front of our signs, showing off what content they posted. We had people call 311 and say, why does East Atlanta have SUFA signs and I don't? We had to move a sign because the city called us and said, we're putting up a new bus stop and we would love to have a sign there for real-time transit. Can you make that happen? We need it in 3 days. And we're like, sure. Cut off the bolts, take the sign, move it to the next spot. Put in the fused solar power, we're good. A disgruntled citizen called. Was on my voicemail, remember that. And was I really need to talk to someone from SUFA. And I was like, oh my God, what's going on here? And then turned out he complained because the SUFA sign was gone. So now we're in almost every neighborhood in Atlanta. We're working with MARTA on bringing a SUFA sign to every transit stop for the Super Bowl, which is super exciting. And I can imagine that one of the things that goes through your mind right now is who's going to pay for all of this? So I have a good answer for that, which is Loretta's last call story, which I want to kind of quickly tell you about. So this is Erica Dorsey. She runs a really cool bar that has live events all the time. And so she gets off the T, so this is in the Fenway in Boston. So we're not just in Atlanta, we have multiple cities. And so she gets off the T and she sees a puppy meetup. She has a puppy, so she was like, oh my God, this is so cool. I can't wait to go to this puppy meetup. But she was like also, could I put my content onto the SUFA sign for my events? And the answer is obviously yes. And so I'm really proud to say that today, 6 months later, Erica has an always-on, real-world social media spend that she basically budgets to put her events onto the SUFA sign network in her neighborhood. So our advertising dollars are truly local, which I'm very proud of, and is also huge for economic development. So I want to take a moment and explain to you how this fits into Erica's lives and into a lot of local businesses' lives. So this is SUFA Talk, which is basically looks a little bit like an Instagram. And so she goes and she'll post her events in there and select the signs she wants this to be displayed on. And it's a complement to her strategy. We're very selective of like what content we let onto the sign because we want to make sure it has this like good neighborhood tone. And there is a curation aspect to it for sure. So the SUFA sign is really like the social media for the real world. And it's great because it's not in your pocket or on your phone. I don't know if you noticed, but sometimes people walk through the most amazing neighborhoods and it's like this. Like that can't be where we want to go as a community, as a neighborhood, as people who come, meet each other, go outside, spend time with one another, and interact. I mean, we're social creatures. I mean, look at us here today, and look at what Gordon and his family is putting on for us till we can spend time with each other. And so for us, it's really, you can create your post while you're at home, put it onto the SUFA sign, and then other people will see, oh, things are going on in my neighborhood, and actually come and show up. I don't know if this is a crowd that goes to Burning Man. I do. I love it. And it's so great because it's a week for me without my phone. And between all board meetings and fundraising, it's just like, hallelujah, I have a real excuse. Like now we have internet on the plane, so that doesn't count anymore. But so I really love that playa feel because there's always something going on. And it's a discovery. So let's make our cities more that way and discover it. So thank you so much for having me today. We actually made a small little handle, sufa.co/meeting of the minds, with some more information. We're also hosting a lunch table later, so I'd love to talk some more. First 10 people who show up get a little gift. So last piece is a piece of homework. We all have amazing topics to think about, a lot of really serious topics we have to think about here as a group. And I just want to say, with whatever you do, be courageous, test and iterate, and really, give it your 150%. And while you're doing it, make sure you stay smart, social, and sustainable. Thank you so much.